there, YouTuber. This is my story. It might be a long rant, but this is my story. Why I moved to Linux. This is back in 2009 when GOS was around, and Linux used GNOME instead of Mate, and Ubuntu used GNOME instead of Unity, and GNOME Shell didn't fuck up with GNOME. Well, GNOME didn't fuck up with GNOME Shell, it was just actual GNOME, which was traditional, what Mate looks like today. The good old days when Linux made sense. Now I don't anymore because of GNOME that fucked up their interface. But anyway, we're not going into that story. Back in those days when the world made sense in the Linux world, but did not make sense in the netbook world, and still doesn't do it today because they still sell computers with Windows on. Yeah. First off, I bought a netbook. A long time ago, I bought a netbook myself. I needed a computer just so I can do my media, do a bit of social networking, because my old computer burnt out. Well, it was a family computer type thing. It burnt out, and yes, it was really bad. So, and honestly, I could have built my own computer, but at the time, I was around about 10, 11, and I didn't get another computer until I was about 16, so I was offline for like 3-4 years. It didn't bother me because at the time I was still a teenager that actually did things at the time. But now these days, these modern teenagers, they pretty much want to stick at home and play on their Xbox and do all this stuff. But now when I was young, we used to go over to people's houses and chat and did things and went out and played on parks and stuff. Now these days, young kids don't do that anymore. It's Xbox and TV time. They haven't got time to go outside these days. Yeah, and back in those days, my computer broke down. It was an old computer. It had Windows Me on. How old it was, yeah. Back in when I was about 10. And we needed a new computer. We didn't have a computer for about 3 years, and then we had another family computer that was a laptop. And then I thought, when I was in college years, I had a massive debt with eBay. Yeah, I've been buying lots of crap and forgot to pay them. Well, actually selling a lot of crap. I didn't pay them fees, so I was in debt with them. And I bought a netbook as well at the same time, so I was paying the netbook off in instalments. I paid £200, and I was paying it monthly back every month. And I soon have paid it back, and I had a little netbook to play with. I had a little computer to play with. It was fun. It had all the features that I always wanted and all that stuff. And, online, because I wanted to get on Facebook and I wanted to join everything like social network wise, and it was fun to play with. But the only downside I had was every time I wanted to multitask, because it was a problem with multitasking on my netbook that day. And I'll tell you the netbook it was an Acer D250, if you want to know. Well, it was difficult to multitask things, because I wanted to play music, or a type of track. I was playing my favourite albums or tracks that I like listening to, or I've downloaded from previous sites. And I was just trying to listen to music while browsing the web, browsing my social network. Every time the computer started heating, the track kept hiccuping, and I really didn't enjoy that. It made my experience really horrible. And I was using Windows XP this time, I wasn't running Linux at the time. I didn't like it, so I tried to find ways to make Windows XP faster, and I followed tutorials and stuff like that, and still it did not work. So I decided to look around on the web to find ways to do it. And if I said anyway, I would even try and look at other ways to even remove it and do something different, to do something different, to make it look different, or do something different to make it that lighter, to do basic multitasking. And yeah, netbooks in Windows XP or Windows 7 or Windows, or whatever Windows version you're using on a netbook, multitasking was completely horrible. And yeah, it was just completely horrible. You couldn't multitask. It had a dual core processor that it had, and that's what it said. So it should be able to multitask easy enough, so you could just do basic multitasking, just to play a few music, browsing the web. But it was impossible on Windows XP. So I had to look in for alternative, and again I had to look for alternatively, and I looked up to Linux. Linux came up quite a lot, and I wanted to know more about this Linux operating system myself. And yes, I was a bit of a geek that wanted to learn more about Linux before I actually installed it. There were so many different distributions. There was so much. I pretty much studied it for about a week, so I know a bit more about Linux. But now I know a lot more than I did before back then. But I came up against Ubuntu. And yes, I did firstly come up against Ubuntu. Then Linux Mint came up against each other. And I thought, Linux Mint looks cool. Ubuntu looks cool. I tried Ubuntu first, 10.04, didn't like it. I don't know why. I think it was a black and purple theme, and I didn't like it at all. It was just horrible, and it just didn't run. It felt bloated as well. I felt that the Ubuntu operating system always was bloated, always was slow in its own way. It wasn't slow like you couldn't physically use it like you would do on Windows XP on a netbook or Windows 7 on a netbook, but it was like, it was sluggish. It can be sluggish, it can be slow, but at least you could do the jobs that you want it to do, sort of thing. Then Linux Mint come along, you try Linux Mint and you see it flies like, thinking, hang on, you think it's running the same base core, it's running the same environment interfaces and stuff, but Linux Mint flies by while Ubuntu kind of chugs along. That's like, oh my god, it's a bit different back in those days. And then Linux Mint 10 came out, or Ubuntu 10.10 came out first. Then a month later, Linux Mint 10 came out, and oh my god, I loved Linux Mint 10. It was my favourite Linux Mint distro ever, and I mean it. It was my favourite distro. In fact, it was my #1 favourite distro in 2010, and it's gonna be my favourite distro all the way. But you want to know why I'm not using Linux Mint anymore? Because I don't know where Linux Mint is heading at the moment, and I really don't want to use Linux Mint as my main desktop, so I decided to use KDE, and I prefer KDE now than I did before. But anyway, I ran Linux Mint at 10 and it was awesome. It run and it ran and it ran, and that was it. It was brilliant. Downloading updates was easy. Getting all the software stuff I wanted, it was really, and it looked nice as well with the metal look theme. It looks swell, and as well, from the last release of Linux Mint, from these new releases of Linux Mint 15 Mate Edition and the older releases of Linux Mint 10, the difference was that they had the sound integration where you click sound and you kind of like had the icons like they did in Ubuntu, new version of Ubuntu, where you got the sound integration where you can like press play, pause and stuff like that. They should bring that back in the Mate Edition to just to get people interested in Mate again. But yeah, that's what my favourite features about Linux Mint, because it took some engines, bits and features from Ubuntu that was a bit ugly, put it in integrated with the Linux Mint 10, and it was just awesome. I run it, it was awesome. I ran it for like at least until it ran out anyway, and then I bought some other computers, old computers. I wanted to scrap computers because I was hearing people buying second-hand computers they bought from eBay, and then they built their own computers and then slapped Linux on and then resold it. I wanted to do the same, and I did that a couple of times. That's why, yeah, that was what I did for a while, just buying actual computer laptops and selling them with fresh of Linux Mint 10, because I wanted to get everybody to use this operating system. It was just so awesome. I wanted to just share it out with everyone, and that was me at the time, just using Linux Mint 10. Then Linux Mint 11 came out. I wasn't too chuffed. I guess the Linux Mint 10 was the best innovation that they came out. Linux Mint 11 was just a rewritten version of Linux Mint 10, so I weren't really impressed with Linux Mint 11 that time. And then Linux Mint 12 with the GNOME shell, I weren't impressed at all, and I was like, no, it's just getting rubbish. Shitter. And then Linux Mint Yeah, all these Linux Mint versions I just weren't really impressed with after about over so many titles. And then they're trying to bring it all back and stuff with Linux Mint 15 and 16 and all these new releases with the Mate interface. But you'll never get the previous releases of Linux Mint 10, and that was the best desktop interface. It was my favourite distro ever to use. You might have seen me use Ubuntu before in my previous videos, and not much Linux Mint. But I can never replace that no one can never replace Linux Mint 10. It was the best desktop operating system ever. Linux Mint 11 will probably be second when it comes to the best desktop, but it was the best. No other operating system can beat Linux Mint 10 in my favourite category. It just was the best operating system ever. And with that Linux Mint team behind, if they bought the sound integration in Mate edition in the Debian version and remove off the Ubuntu core, I would completely go back to Linux Mint 10 or Linux Mint Debian edition and use it. If they had an updated core, if they had the sound integration that was on Linux Mint 10 and Linux Mint 11 in the time, I would be completely happy to use Linux Mint. But now they haven't got the sound integration in Mate anymore, which was kind of a disappointment in the Mate edition. I mean, they're more concentrated on Cinnamon and where the Linux Mint project is going, but I would love to see the sound integration, what they did in Linux Mint 10. I want that back. I really want that back. It was just my favourite part of Linux Mint. I know I'm going rant. I might do another second video what I would like in the Linux Mint Mate edition, like they did with Linux for You and Me, what the wishes that they wanted in Linux Mint Mate edition. But yeah, you know, that's what I want in the it was just really cool to see Linux Mint, and it was made my favourite Linux Mint desktop. So what do I want in out of Linux these days? Well, these days I want Linux to come out at the top now. I want to beat Microsoft at their own game, because I want to show everyone in the world that Linux can do a better job at providing you a better interface for a better desktop experience than what Windows can. You see, Windows is another way of reinventing the same idea that Linux has, and that's what Windows' ideas are. Most of them are reflown of ideas. Again, these big companies like Apple or Microsoft are copying Linux as their main target, and then reselling the bugger as their own development process or whatever, or their own development. And honestly, that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, as me, I pretty much that's just disgusting to see that happening. And a lot of Linux users are coming up thinking, hang on, we've been using this and developing it and working on it for a lot longer than what Microsoft and Apple's been doing. And one day they decide, oh, let's just look at Linux and resell it and advertise it as we developed it, and we didn't, just copied it. And that's basically it these days. So yeah, and that's my video on the experience I've had with Linux. Ever since then, I've been swapping and swapping the distros. I've been using Manjaro, Ubuntu, Debian. I've used every single distro. My favourite at the moment is Manjaro, because it has been fantastic. Now, if you try to use OpenSUSE, and I tried to work with OpenSUSE and Mageia and all these other distributions, but Manjaro is the best distribution today, because they've got it spot on. They got it just spot on. They haven't got it, it's almost there, or there's some features it's missing that the users just need. They got it spot on, and that's fantastic with Manjaro. And that's why I'm using Manjaro every day, and using Manjaro as my sister, because this is what a distro needs to be. It needs to be able to connect to the community with getting all these exotic packages, at the same time being cutting release, at the same time be able to go to a community without being rude or disrespectful because you're a newbie. You know, Manjaro has got it spot on, and this is what distribution should be like. See, Ubuntu, if you compare it with Ubuntu, the Ubuntu core is stupid and it's rubbish and it's crap. It's mainly to do with the kernel itself. The PPA system does not work for newbies. I mean, most of the time, all I want to do is search in the GUI application, search for those third-party applications, not even on the Ubuntu repositories. Without keep looking to Launchpad and looking for the PPA and add that repository to the PPA. Even I tried it on my family before, and they don't want to mess around with repositories and adding servers to the operating system just so they can download an application. Even downloading and installing an application is a lot faster in Windows than it is on Ubuntu, and that's a complete fact. That's a true fact. It does take a lot longer processes just to install an application in Ubuntu or third-party application in Ubuntu than it is in Linux or in Windows. But some people will say, well, it's just an easy way, just so you've got a stable environment to run the operating system. I don't know. I really can't say it is stable. I really can't say it isn't. A lot have been built around it. So, and maybe free viruses. I really can't say that's free viruses either, because there could be some new applications that could affect the system itself. So, what have I learnt today? Nothing. I haven't learnt anything. I thought I'd just tell you the story about my experience with Linux, and I think I really want to see Manjaro carrying on and the Linux Mint development, and just to keep them going for a while and see their products or their development for a lot longer, because those two operating systems got it spot on. See, if Linux Mint decide to develop their platform on the Manjaro system, I would be completely, do you know what, I'll say I would go out right today and just go, right, Linux Mint are a genius, are a flicking genius, because this is what that's what I want as a system. You know, I want to be able to have a cutting edge software that's available with rolling release as a system, but at the same time I can get all the stableness from, you know, the stableness. I got the stable version of Debian, so people can have not as cutting edge but old software, but they got the latest version as well. So you've got, so like for instance Cinnamon. Cinnamon has the latest core, the latest everything, while the Debian has the mate interface, which is not the latest, but it's latest, I guess. Or maybe just have Debian and Manjaro. I don't know. I would just left Ubuntu based and gone with Manjaro based, because the community out there is wonderful. I joined one of their communities. Now I was stuck. I wanted to run Qt applications under Manjaro, and I got a response. Not really quickly though, mind you, but I got really a nice response, and I was happy with their community. There are other communities out there who are a bit rude or dumbasses, or just say a load of lies to you and say this is what you have to do, and then you realise, oh my god, why did they do this? But Manjaro, they got it spot on. I mean, there's no other distribution out there in the world that has not got it spot on yet. I think the closest distribution that has it spot on is Linux Mint. Nearly has it spot on is Linux Mint. If they sold out the PPA system and just got rid of the PPA system, actually just remove it from the Ubuntu core and use something else, and then have some sort of community server going on. And what else? And probably Ubuntu, which they give up on their system. Yeah, Ubuntu. I think Ubuntu's done a quite good job as well for a GNOME-based operating system. That lasts for a long time, but stopped development by this month, because they've discontinued, I guess, from their project. But again, you know, Manjaro, they've got it spot on, and I'm pleased to see Manjaro progressing to the next version of the future of Manjaro systems. So, if you want a good distribution or a good operating system, Manjaro or Linux Mint are the two best operating systems out there. if you went and listened to the consumer, like Ubuntu, you can use a GUI Ubuntu and use PPA systems. If you don't want to mess with repositories all day, I mean, Manjaro is just perfect for that. But if you really want to mess around and tinker the way you want it, Ubuntu is perfect for that. You would just want a distribution that's Ubuntu based, but at the same time, just the basic stuff. Linux is perfect for that. So there are a lot of 3 things that I like about these 3 distributions, and I want everyone to use those 3 distributions that's available to what they can get out of that system. Okay guys, I'm sorry for the long video, but this is my experience and this is what I recommend, and it's what I feel about UR. I'll put a comment, I'll put an image to the link from Google Images, like I said down below, link down below, showing you the image of the netbook I had. Alright, thank you guys, and see you later.